This episode is brought to you by Preschool All-Stars, my exclusive membership community. As a member of Preschool All-Stars, you can unlock free access to Preschool University so that we can help you on every milestone of your preschool journey. Here's a sample for you to enjoy. Today we're going to learn about the preschool payday system, how to sell your preschool to retire early with a huge payday. All right, here we are at the very last system, obviously, because it's going to be the payday system where we prepare to sell your preschool. Even if you're thinking about starting your preschool, there is still a huge preparation process that you need to go through. So let me tell you a little bit about my story of how I finally got to the point where I was actually preparing to sell. You know my story. Started in the home, in literally my home, then we converted the garage, and then we got our schoolhouse, but we were still doing school in both places, in the converted garage as well as the school. That was going great. It got built up really big, and then we started thinking, well, we've been thinking about it for a while, but I wonder if we actually could sell this preschool. But how would that work? Because we had it in my home as well. We didn't want to sell the home at the time. So how does that really work? Would we have to like sell the home as the preschool with the preschool over here, but we didn't own the preschool building over here? It was really complicated. We owned our house. We were leasing the preschool building. So is that too many like weird things going on? Like, how do we just make it seamless? And so we kept thinking like, I don't know that we could really sell it because we got it in the home. And if we took it out of the home, where would we stick those kids? Because the schoolhouse was full. We have basically, now we have 4 classrooms. If you think about it, here's a school, big rectangle, okay? And you've got the stairs going down and the stairs going up. On this side, we had kindergarten and all-day preschool. On this side down here, we had pre-K. Up here it used to be 2 classrooms, we converted it into 1, and that is our preschool program. And then down the stairs over here, we had 2 small classrooms, just kind of like that one, but they're not classrooms, 2 small rooms. One used to be an office and one was a storage room. And so I realized real fast I didn't want to be in the office. That's actually in the director system. That's a funny story. But we're like, well, those 2 rooms, you can't do preschool in both of them. I wonder if we could just knock out the wall, make a big room, just like we did up here for this preschool. And then we would finally have room to move this garage preschool kiddos over into the schoolhouse and finally have everybody together without losing income. And so we set about doing that. We're like, okay, if we want to sell, we need to kind of prepare. So in order to get it out of our house and into an actual location, which seems to be sellable at that point, because we realized you don't have to own the building that you're having preschool in to actually sell it in the future. All you need is the person that's going to be buying it to enter into a new lease agreement with the landlord. It's awesome. So you literally are just changing your name from the lease to their name, and they create a whole new lease for them. So what we were thinking about, okay, so you have the kiddos here. We need to convert this area down here. Go check out the Extreme Makeover Preschool Edition, which is a super cute video, because it literally shows that renovation video that we did, knocking out the wall and merging those 2 classrooms together. Here's the tricky thing though. It was our all-day preschool class that we were going to be moving over. So we had kindergarten, advanced pre-K, we had pre-K, and then we had preschool, and this was becoming our all-day preschool classroom. But how do you do that when those kiddos, if they're going to be there, especially all day, and there's 3-year-olds also in there, how do you do that without a bathroom? There was no bathroom. So we're like, we need to make a bathroom associated with it. There was a laundry room, which would have been perfect, right? There was obviously plumbing in there, but it was a concrete floor, right? Concrete slab. Also, when we had the people come over to do the contracting, we said, what would it take if we wanted to knock out this wall and make this a bathroom? And they're like, oh, the bathroom alone is really, really expensive. And we're like, ha, yikes. And then we found out that the wall in between the 2 classrooms was a load-bearing wall. Yikes, yikes. So that means just that beam alone was going to be super expensive to knock it out and stick that huge beam up there. Of course, it didn't really impact the room at all. It was up in the ceiling, but it was still very expensive. So we went from this concept of like, yeah, let's do it, to like, oh, I don't know that we can afford to do that, right? So we kind of sat on that idea for a while because the contractors that we were finding, they literally just kept, it was really difficult to be able to get them because they were just so expensive. We would get one contractor for this price and this one, and the bathroom was so expensive. And anyways, we just kind of sat on that idea. It didn't really go anywhere. what happened was, me in my, ever expanding mind, there was actually a building right across from us. We're on a roundabout, we're on one corner, and right on the other corner was an empty building that was up for sale. And we're like, I wonder if maybe they'd be interested in leasing that, and we'll just create an even bigger preschool over there. Like, not a bigger one, but like even more room over there. So we could have 2 locations, move it out of our home, move the all-day preschool kids into this other building. And if any teachers need to come over or whatever, you could just cross the road. It literally was easy. And then the preschool could grow again. And then now there'd be 2 locations, right? So we actually set out to lease that building. And we went through the entire process, went through the whole thing. We put in contracts, and we were almost ready to move forward until we had an inspector come in, and they also had a basement, but they were near kind of like a ditch kind of thing. And the entire basement was covered with mold. And so it was interesting because where they were at, like, you never go in the basement. Like, there was always a door. It was completely like non-usable, all concrete, and you would never even go in there. But the fact that there was mold in the basement prohibited any children from ever being up in the other area up top, nor should even adults or anybody be there. So it didn't work out. It was just, but here's the awesome point of what happened during that time period. We actually, as we were going through around, we were figuring out how we're going to renovate that other building and knock out walls and make it a cool preschool room and experience. We found the contractor that was going to do that because he was working with the owner of this building. And the owner was like, contractor, do whatever they want, and then we'll just work it into the lease price. And so we were working with this contractor, like, okay, let's do this and this and this. Finally, we go into the basement. We're like, whoa. And it was so sad because we're like, okay, so I guess we're not going to do that. I guess we can never sell. Like, what are we going to do if we can't, pay for this other renovation here? And here's the coolest part about it, though. The contractor that took us through that one building was the contractor who actually ended up doing our renovation for our schoolhouse in those 2 classrooms because he was a lot cheaper. So he was an amazing contractor, but he was local. He didn't really have much work. Everybody else was just packed with work. And so, thankfully it was one of these wonderful blessings that even though that place didn't work out, we were literally able to get the contractor that we found because of that place and be able to have him do our renovation. So we knocked out the wall, put up the beam, turned the laundry room into a bathroom. There you go. There's the all-day preschool classroom. So we were making steps to prepare us to sell. That was one of them. We had to figure out how to get the kids out of our house and into a new building. So if your kiddos are only in your house, you need to have eyes on a building that you can lease. You don't have to buy it. You just have to enter into a leasing contract. It doesn't actually matter how many years your leasing contract is. If you enter into a 3-year lease and you move everybody over, guess what? You can literally sell the next month as long as you can get the landlord to love the new owner. And as long as they have good credit, you can get a lease approved and they will enter into a new 3-year agreement, okay? So they're not taking over your contract, right? They're literally entering into a brand new contract with the landlord. And usually a similar time period. So we always did 5-year contracts with our lease. And then whenever we sold, we just had them enter into a brand new 5-year contract, which is really awesome. How you can prepare it. Yes, you want to talk about location, right? The next thing though, is you want to be talking about like your actual business setup of your, I don't even know all these like legal terms and such like that, but it's basically just making sure that when you go to sell, the legal side is set up correctly if you have a business partner. So let's say that you're like a husband and wife and you've been doing this preschool and you're sole proprietors and it's been going great. Or maybe you're even an LLC, okay? But you have this preschool and you eventually want to sell it. But if you have 2 people in the mix in this business, how does it get split? Are you 50-50? Is it 70-30? How are the profits split? And in order to find that out, you actually have to have an LLC operating agreement. That's a legal document that you don't get when you file an LLC because it comes from a lawyer. When my husband and I entered into the LLC, we have a couple of them because we own many businesses, but we went to the lawyer. That, by the way, get a lawyer on call because I always love to have a lawyer on call. So it doesn't cost you to have a lawyer on call. You just start doing stuff with a lawyer and then, therefore, when you have a problem, you can call up that lawyer and be able to chat with them. And then they only charge you when you use them. But With the LLC operating agreement, it's a document that the lawyer puts together. It's about $500 to put together. Thankfully, I'm literally giving you my LLC operating agreement because all you have to do is use my document I already paid a lawyer to do and change out your name and change out your husband's name. And you can even change the 50-50 or whatever else you want to change. But it's so important to do that because if you go into selling the preschool, the bank or whoever is doing the loan for your buyer, or if it's just a buyer coming with cash, whenever it goes to sell into closing, they actually need that LLC operating agreement for tax purposes to be able to know, like, how do we define this on the taxes, okay? So you can't just go in with just like, oh yeah, we own an LLC, but we never specified percentages and things like that. It's a pretty thick document. So not only do you need that, you also need to worry about just fixing up your preschool generally. So let me talk on that for a minute. So our schoolhouse was older, if you remember, it was totally dilapidated. And then thankfully we had the landlord paid for the renovation and we just threw that all into the lease price. And because we had a longer lease, we were able to get that lease price down. If you're only doing a 1-year lease, guys, it's going to be a very high lease. If you push it out to a 3-year, a 5-year lease, I know it feels a little bit more nervous because you're pushing it out so far. And yes, you're literally connecting that to your assets. You cannot have the lease go under an LLC. Oh my gosh, I'm like getting into like schoolhouse stuff and building stuff, but it's important because if you're going to go get a building, you kind of need to know this. So when you're getting your lease, they actually will require you to do a personal guarantee on that lease. So you know how we do LLCs because that separates personal and business, and like therefore if our business tanks, we're still saved on our personal side, right? Leases are different. They'll usually require a personal guarantee. I haven't come into one lately that doesn't require that because they know if the business tanks, they're out, right? That's why leases are, you got to make sure you're making a right choice before you go get one. So anyways, he had already renovated everything. So everything was looking really, really nice already, but we'd been in it for about 6, 7 years. And it was starting to like, just to look a little bit dated, you know, I was like, a fresh coat of paint would do this baby good, right? And so we were just trying to do as much as we could so that whenever we did sell, it had the highest value. The owner wouldn't need to do renovations, wouldn't tack that on to anywhere. We really just wanted to make it look as nice as possible. And so we did a fresh coat of paint in all of the rooms. Obviously, all the baseboards and trim is really nice to do. And of course, we talked about deep cleaning in a different system. But basically just making sure that everything looks like updated and there's no broken things, and whatever is going on in the exterior, the landscaping, if you have any control over that, make sure that that looks really nice, because what will happen is the appraiser will literally come out to take pictures of the entire property, the interior of your school as well, and you want that to look as nice as possible, obviously. So getting rid of anything that doesn't need to be there and just making it as nice as possible. Also, when you're doing that, you're going through and saying, is this a good asset to have in the preschool? Because all of the things in the preschool, you will also sell. Unless you decide that I'm literally just selling the preschool contacts and I'm taking all of the materials out of the preschool, that doesn't make any sense to me. But it doesn't make any sense, so don't do it. So, but of course, because you want that owner to come in and just immediately be able to just continue business as usual, because that's the way that the preschool is going to be successful, right? So just making it look really nice and improving anything that it needs to have done. Also, you need to figure out how to maximize the value of your preschool. So here's what I was doing. When we decided to move the students over to the other room, we decided like we could literally just stop enrolling for this class and have these guys all graduate and be done. But that only leaves 3 classrooms of value over here with profit. That's not good when we're trying to create a valuation for how much our business should sell for. And so that's why we thought, you know what? I know it's going to cost us 10 grand out of our pocket, but we really need to add this preschool class over here for the profit to be able to up the valuation for that school. One note on this, and actually I'll talk about this in the next modules about how to like determine your sales price. So we'll move on to that in a little bit. But when you're also preparing to sell, you're trying to get as much marketing in so all your classes are as full as possible. Every bit helps. I would not suggest starting a preschool and trying to sell it the next year. Oh my goodness, wasn't that amazing? Now, sorry we had to cut that off early, but I hope you've enjoyed this sample training. Now, if you'd like to unlock the rest for free inside Preschool University, then I invite you to join Preschool All-Stars. It's my exclusive membership community where you'll get mentorship from me with weekly Q&A lives, support and guidance and friendship from hundreds of women on the exact same journey as you, starting, running, and growing their preschools, and my exclusive access to Preschool University, every training and done-for-you file that you'll need for every milestone on your journey to help you start, run, and grow your preschool. We've all been there, and we've got the exact same steps that you need to go through, but we do it all very quickly so that you don't have to waste time or money doing the wrong things at the wrong time. We'd love for you to join our Preschool All-Stars membership. Just go to preschoolallstars.com or click the link in the description to immediately jump into Preschool All-Stars. Again, go to preschoolallstars.com and we'll see you there.